Hello and welcome. You're tuned into Times Now. This is the newspaper show with me, Poonam Burde. Over the next half an hour, we'll take you through all the headlines in the top newspapers of today on this Saturday morning. Let's begin with the Times of India. The top headline in the Times of India this Saturday morning is about the monsoon deficit that India is facing. 10% deficient in July as far as the historical data goes. It's the driest in 5 years. That's the data coming in from the IMD. The forecast hints at heavy September rainfall, so hopefully that should bring in some sort of relief for the farm sector, for the agriculture sector, because July has not been a great month as far as monsoons are concerned. That's the big headline that is coming in from the Times of India. It also talks about murderer doctors, 100 victims become crocodile feed in a UP canal. This, of course, is the shocking news that we have been getting to you here. He's a doctor who jumped parole. His gang intercepted trucks carrying LPG cylinders, killed drivers, stole cylinders. He was involved in a kidney transplant racket as well. As far as 100 victims of this particular doctor have now come to the fore. As far as India's COVID-19 fight goes, Unlock 3.0 is beginning. In another clash, LG has now said, the Delhi LG of course, has now said no to unlocking hotels and weekly markets in the national capital. These two proposals were the ones that were proposed by the Kejriwal government, but the Delhi Lieutenant Governor has struck those down. Another clash between the Kejriwal government and the Delhi Lieutenant Governor. Situation is fragile. City government plan to be reviewed later. That is what the LG's office said. Government can send the proposal again for LG's reconsideration if he is agreeable, hints at an officer in the CMO, adding revival of Delhi's economy while containing COVID is government's top priority. This is as far as opening up hotels and weekly markets is concerned in the national capital. As far as the fight between the Delhi LG and the Kejriwal government goes, another one is of the Delhi riots case. SG among lawyers in riots case, state government has slammed the LG. AAP government on Thursday notified a panel of 6 special public prosecutors proposed by Delhi police to represent the state in the High Court and the Supreme Court in the city riots and the anti-CAA stirs cases. Now, this has been an ongoing clash between the two for the last couple of months. Another one coming in. China's incursions, a test to see world reaction. This is what Mike Pompeo, the US Secretary of State, has said. This comes at a time when India and China are engaged in de-escalation talks along the line of actual control. China's recent aggression in India's eastern Ladakh and claims for real estate in Bhutan are indications of its intentions, is what US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has said, asserting that Beijing under President Xi Jinping is testing the world to see if anyone is going to stand up to its threats and bullying. Over the last couple of days, we've seen several politicians from the Trump administration come out and hit out at China. Mike Pompeo also spoke about how the Chinese consulate in Houston was a hub of spying, which is why they shut it down. Again, the US administration now coming out in support of India against China, asking China to stop its bullying tactics. That's one of the big headlines here in the Times of India. Also, India reviewing ASEAN FTA over trade deficit is also a piece of blurb that is here in the Times of India front page. The centre is reviewing the continuation of the free trade agreement with ASEAN in the wake of bloc's reluctance to address India's concerns over asymmetrics in the pact. The trade deficit and the FTA, which India is trying to sign with several countries, is of course a matter of concern. That also is something that the centre is looking at as we move towards reviving the economy in a post-COVID era. As far as COVID cases are concerned, 57,000 plus cases on Friday were recorded in 24 hours. July count has now topped over 11 lakh. India recorded its single-day highest jump in COVID-19 cases. 57 fresh cases were recorded on Friday, the last day of July, capping the deadliest month of the pandemic in the country that saw 11.1 lakh cases and 19,122 deaths. Cases are rising in Bihar. That is a cause of concern. Bihar and Odisha are among the 5 states with the fastest growth of cases, and they also have the poorest health infrastructure in terms of hospital beds and ICU beds per lakh population. Bihar has less than 26 beds and Odisha just under 56. That's the concerning bit of information coming in as far as India's COVID-19 fight quite as concerned, and how state governments are fighting this pandemic. Chinese in NEP's 2019 languages list has been dropped. Now remember, a new education policy has now been coming into effect. It was announced a couple of days ago. This is the NEP 2020. In the new one, Chinese was one of the languages in the old NEP that has now been dropped. The national education policy approved by the Union Cabinet 2 days ago does not mention Chinese among the foreign languages it cites as examples students can learn at the secondary level. The Chinese language, rather than Mandarin or Cantonese, was mentioned in the draft release in 2019. It also named French, German, Spanish, Chinese and Japanese as foreign languages which could be offered as electives and not in place of the three-language formula. But the approved policy that was released by the centre on Wednesday omits Chinese from its particular list. This is as far as the Times of India goes. These are the top headlines in the Times of India this Saturday morning. Let's look at what the Navbharat Times holds for its readers this morning. The biggest one, of course, is coming in from the national capital, which is about Unlock 3.0 and the fight between the Delhi LG and the Delhi government. Hotel और weekly heart को red signal. LG ने दिल्ली सरकार के दो अहम फैसले पलटे. That was also the big headline in the Times of India. Two decisions that were made by the Kejriwal government have now been reversed by the Delhi LG. मौत के मामले में पहुंचे 5वें नंबर पर है भारत. Unfortunately, as far as the number of deaths are concerned due to the COVID-19 virus, India at a global stage is at number 5. That's a bit of concerning news coming in as we move towards unlocking India, towards reviving economy, towards relaxing several curbs that have been now put in place. Another piece of information which of course is for viewers of the national capital region, not just in Delhi but also those for Noida and Gurugram. Noida गाजियाबाद में नाइट कर्फ्यू से कुछ छूट. अनलॉक 3 में गाजियाबाद नोएडा को नाइट कर्फ्यू से छूट मिलेगी, लेकिन सोमवार से गुरुवार तक सिर्फ weekend lockdown जारी रहेगा. That's a bit of information coming in from Noida and Ghaziabad. The UP administration, remember, has been putting in place a weekend lockdown to ensure that there is a lid on number of cases, on the spread of COVID-19. So the curfew, which has now been relaxed by the centre in Unlock 3.0, Monday to Thursday is when there will be no curfew, but the weekend lockdown, the weekend curfew really stays at least in Uttar Pradesh. Another piece of information in the Navbharat Times is about the case of Sushant Singh Rajput and his death and the controversy around it, the investigation around it. Riya ki musibatein badi, ED ne case darj kiya. Now, the Enforcement Directorate has registered a case against Rhea Chakraborty, who is the ex-girlfriend of Sushant Singh Rajput. She has been under the scanner. The father of Sushant has accused her of trying to dupe him of money. The Enforcement Directorate has now stepped in. They have now filed a case against Rhea Chakraborty. They have booked her. The investigation, the lens is of course on financial irregularities. Punjab में नकली शराब पीने से 38 की मौत. This is also the big story that Navbharat Times talks about this morning. It is about spurious liquor that was consumed by several people in Punjab. Unfortunately, 38 of whom have died. Now, the Rajasthan drama continues. This one is a picture of MLAs in Jaisalmer. It talks about Jaisalmer Paunche, Gehlot Khema. They have been camping in a resort in Jaipur all these days. Both camps, the Sachin Pilot camp and the Gehlot camp, have been trying to get their flock together. Gehlot has now taken his flock, his MLAs to Jaisalmer. They're now in for a treat, for a resort holiday in Jaisalmer, now that they seem to be bored of the capital city. BS4 गाड़ियों की registration पर कोर्ट के फैसले तक रोक. That is also the piece of information coming in for the viewers, for the readers of the Navbharat Times. It is about registration of BS4 vehicles in the national capital. The Supreme Court is hearing that case. The NGT is against it. That, of course, we are awaiting a decision on. Until then, there is a red signal. This is the information coming in from the Navbharat Times. Moving on to what the Economic Times holds for its readers this morning. The big one is a quote from Prime Minister Modi, where he says that the focus on telecom, self-reliance and security. That's the big quote coming in from Prime Minister Modi. As India gears up for 5G, Modi says India has come a long way on the tech front from 2G to 5G. Stresses on digital connectivity to transform lives of citizens. This is what the Prime Minister has said. The time is to focus on self-reliance and security. India successfully conceived, operationalized JAM, which is Jan Dhan, Aadhaar and Mobile. That's the trinity that he talks about. What the Telecom Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad said is that Atmanirbhar Bharat means self-reliant India, not India in isolation. India to contribute to global supply chain by expanding manufacturing across sectors. This is the big information coming in the Economic Times this morning. Also, the big headline on the front page of the Economic Times today is about TV cos may take license route for big screen models. The import curbs on television sets has prompted this entire matter. No plan to set up new production lines as of now because the demand is limited. The size of the TV market is about 25,000 crore. The top 6 brands, of course, are Samsung, LG, Xiaomi, Sony, Panasonic and TCL. 35% of TVs that are sold in the country are imported. There is a curb on imports now. Companies are fearing that getting import license may not be easy. They're fearing that curb imports from China and ASEAN countries through FTA route. They say that little volume in premium and to make manufacturing investment, it's not easy to shift to local production overnight. That's what they're saying. This is as far as the curbs on imports of television sets specifically from China is concerned. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has also said that working with the RBI for relief for industry. Remember, the economy has taken a hit as far as COVID-19 fight is concerned, the subsequent lockdown. As we move towards the third phase of Unlock 3.0, the focus really is on reviving economy, on reviving several sectors that have taken a hit during these last few months. Nirmala Sitharaman says the government is working with the RBI on a loan rejig or a moratorium extension as requested by the industry. She said the focus is on restructuring. The Finance Ministry is actively engaged with RBI on this. That's the bit of information coming in as far as the industry goes. The Economic Times also talks about the COVID setbacks as far as tax revenue is concerned. Tax revenue has dropped 33% in the June quarter. A bit of grim news coming in as far as economic revival in the country is concerned. The fiscal deficit is at 83.2% of the full year budget estimate, which is the highest in the first quarter since 1999. Core contraction has also slowed down, unfortunately, to 15% in June. There has been a deep cut really as far as government revenues. The deficit is concerned. The government's tax revenue fell 32.6% in the April-June quarter, underscoring the damage done to the economy by the COVID-19 pandemic and the lockdown that followed. Tata Motors has doubled its losses in the first quarter, unfortunately, to over 8,400 crore. It has consolidated its net loss to 8,443 crore in the April-June quarter, led by COVID-19 induced shutdowns, but beat street expectations on better cost control and lower cash flow. So that's the silver lining really as far as Tata Motors is concerned. SEBI has, of course, relaxed upfront margin framework. The SBI quarter one results are also out there. The net zooms 81% on SBI Life stake sale gains. They've beaten estimates as far as net profit is concerned. But unfortunately, the SBI has seen a sharp fall in bad loan parameters, over 10% retail loan growth and 16% growth deposit. That's as far as the banking sector and the SBI is concerned. Another piece of information coming in the Economic Times is about Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook and how they've been doing. Remember, Facebook stocks have been dwindling. They have been falling over the last couple of weeks. If WhatsApp JioMart model works, we will export it. That's what Mark Zuckerberg has now said. Reliance and Facebook is looking to expand service to farmers, teachers, students and SMEs in India. The social media giant is keen to take it abroad as well. What is Zuckerberg's big plan? He says a big part of Jio's partnership is to get thousands of small businesses onto WhatsApp to do commerce there. Once we prove that with Jio, we're planning on expanding it to more folks in India and to other countries. Now, this is about the partnership between Reliance and Mark Zuckerberg's Facebook. It aims to work with 30 million kiranas to help them transact digitally with neighborhood customers. WhatsApp in India, remember, has over 400 million users, which is a fifth of the 2 billion globally. That is the market that Facebook through WhatsApp is really looking as far as India is concerned. The business strategy is, of course, that the Facebook is betting on messaging commerce, which enables customers to shop online using WhatsApp and integrating payments with it, largely for developing countries. So India is going to be really a template as far as this is concerned. Mark Zuckerberg there, of course, wants to expand it, not just to other countries, but also to other vendors and not just Reliance in India. if this entire deal goes through, it works. Moving on to what Delhi's edition for its readers holds today. Now, the second Sero survey is going to come out. There are going to be more than, unfortunately, there have been over 1,100 fresh cases in the last 24 hours in the national capital. The big blow, of course, is for the plan that was scrapped by the Delhi LG, as we brought to you earlier today. The another clash that we were talking about between the Delhi Lieutenant Governor Anil Baijal and the Kejriwal government. Kangana is now joining us for more on this. Kangana, several key decisions were taken by the Kejriwal government, two of which have now been struck down by the LG.
Well, Poonam, of course, under the guidelines of the MHA, which was released on 31st of July, the hotel industries was allowed to open, and which is why the Delhi government had taken a decision that from 1st of August, they will allow the hotels and the weekly bazaars in Delhi to open. And this is not the first time that any decision by the Delhi government has been reversed by the Lieutenant Governor Anil Baijal. Anil Baijal has reversed his decision, and this is definitely not the first time, because earlier also, since 1.5 months, we have been noticing in the lockdown that when Anil Baijal, in his capacity as the chairperson of DTMA, had also reversed a decision where the Delhi government wanted to reserve all its beds in private and public hospitals.
Right, this is not the first such decision that has been reversed by the Delhi LG. The clash, of course, continues. Hopefully, it is resolved soon. But thank you, Kangana, for joining us. Moving on to Mumbai now. The biggest headline from Mumbai, of course, is the probe, the investigation that is underway in the Sushant Singh Rajput case. Bhavtosh is now joining us live from Mumbai. He's been tracking all the developments. Bhavtosh, even as several multi-agency probes now, Bihar Police, Mumbai Police, the Enforcement Directorate has also stepped in. ED has now booked Rhea Chakraborty in the case.
Yes, a massive development happened yesterday when the Enforcement Directorate decided to book Rhea Chakraborty in a case of money laundering. They have taken cognizance of the FIR that has been filed by the Bihar police. In fact, ED has said that they do suspect that the two companies whose directors were Rhea Chakraborty and brothers were nothing but shell companies. They are also taking very seriously the allegations that have been leveled by Sushant Singh Rajput's father, that around 15 crore rupees was siphoned off from the bank account of his son. They have said that the case has been registered in Mumbai, and it is expected that summons will be issued to key players, including Rhea Chakraborty and her family members, next week.
Right, Bhavtosh, thank you for getting us those details. The probe there gathers team. We are seeing the police investigation, also, of course, the ED investigation that will now focus on the financial angle. Moving on to what Bengaluru holds for its readers this morning. There is a vertical growth that has gotten a boost. The pay premium has been highest so far. Karnataka has issued an ordinance to spur realty market. That's the big focus that Karnataka is going to be paying attention to. EWS quota proposal is likely before the cabinet next week. Caste certificates are likely to be issued is also what we are given to understand. Deepak is now joining us for more on this. Deepak, now the Karnataka government has issued an ordinance to encourage vertical growth in the state by allowing civic agencies to impose up to 33% premium for higher floor area ratio.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting how this pans out and how this affects high-rise buildings, especially in the city. What the experts are expecting is that, especially along, transport corridors like the outer ring road or the metro, it's definitely going to see a lot of growth. They're also saying it's going to benefit the builders. But there are some arguments on the builder side as well. The 33% is probably too much. It's not going to, give them any sort of advantage in the market. But we've already seen the rate at about 50% in Mangaluru. And, this, of course, comes as an amendment to the Karnataka Town Planning and Country Act. So right now, deliberations are going on. We'll really have to wait and watch whether there'll be some sort of changes that come in.
Right. This, of course, is a part of reviving the economy. The government is hoping to increase revenues by this move. Deepak, thank you for joining us. Moving on to the city of joy and what Kolkata reads for its, what Kolkata holds for its readers this Saturday morning. Now, while most national monuments and museums under the Union Ministry of Culture have been thrown open, two major museums in Kolkata with high footfall, which is the Victoria Memorial Hall and the Indian Museum, have decided to go virtual. Shreyashi is now joining us for more on this. Yes, Shreyashi, what is the new plan as far as these two museums are concerned?
Well, the fact that a lot of CISF personnel here have tested positive and succumbed to COVID virus, despite the fact that the central ministry has allowed these monuments to reopen here in Kolkata. Here in Kolkata, Victoria Memorial and the Indian Museum continues to remain shut. However, they have gone online for visitors who want to really see the museums from inside. There is a link that has been provided on the main website where the visitors can click and get a virtual tour of these national monuments.
Right, Shreyashi, thank you for getting us that update coming in from Kolkata. We are, of course, tracking all the developments as far as the biggest story of Sushant Singh Rajput, the probe, and, of course, India's COVID-19 fight is concerned. But that's all we could pack in for you in this edition of the newspaper show. Weekend programming coming up next.